I'm going to share my screen here, share my presentation.
And I'm going to throw out just a reminder that we are recording now.
Okay. Okay, so hopefully everybody can hear me. Here's my screen. Let me rearrange something real quick. Okay, so Becca just asked me to talk about meeting routines and robot game strategy, and then I'll mention a little bit about the engineering notebook, but not too much. Again, my name is Kara Beck, and I have my contact information down here. This is my 4th year involved with FLL. My first 2 years was just kind of as a parent and volunteer. And then last year I started coaching a couple of teams at our homeschool program. And so as part of, oh, one second, how do I, there we go. So like I said, we're part of the homeschool community. And so it's kind of a good mix between maybe a school setting and then also a community setting. The kids have to come to meetings separate from school and such. We meet once a week and for about 2 hours. Some kids get together outside of the meeting time. And one second, sorry, I'm trying to get my video here. Okay, there we go. And we have several teams at one time. Last year we had 3 teams, and this year we have 4 teams. And so that kind of changes the dynamics of how we do our meetings. Danielle and I, who is on here now, are both the main coaches. And then we also have kind of parent mentors that take on big chunks of helping us, and then also parent helpers. And we typically have the kids in one spot, and then we kind of rotate around to them to help them with different parts, the core values, the robot game, and the project. So we've done it different ways in the past, but we kind of start our meeting times in the fall with a pretty soft start. This year we had an open house, and we just had stations set up with different components of FLL, a robot table, a project area, a core values area, and then we had like a place for them to build robots, a place for them to have a trial in programming. And that seemed to work really well. It not only brought in new people and helped us meet new people, but it gave the kids a really great introduction. So the other way we've done it, last year we did workshops for the first few weeks, and we introduced kids to each part, and that really worked well too. And then then once we're ready, we just jump in and start with the teams. We've had our first official meeting, and the things that we try to cover in that first meeting are our general rules. We meet in more of an office building type setting, and so it's important for the kids to realize that teachers are working behind doors and that sort of thing. We also go over expectations. Core values is really big the first few meetings, and then just that we want a nice working environment for the kids. One of the things that I read last year that I really like and try to share with the kids is this idea of their contribution to their team can be a -1, a 0, or a 1. And I believe that, I don't remember what book I read that in, but it was one of the, by an astronaut, which went with the space theme. And I really thought that was neat. And he was talking about when he first went up to the space station, he was really a 0. He didn't have much to contribute. There was so much to learn. And we really want the kids to know that that's okay. Sometimes they're not going to know what's going on, but they can still be learning even if they're not ready to contribute fully yet. So that's okay. And then for them to kind of self-evaluate, am I being a -1 and detracting from my group? Am I being a 0, but still watching and learning, or am I being a 1 right now? So anyway, that really helps with expectations. And then we show the challenge release video. We try to get it out to parents and families before our first meeting, but we know a lot of them haven't seen it yet. So, and it's a really great time to kind of all come together and watch the YouTube video. And then we break up into teams. And here's kind of our meeting schedule time for everything. And as you can see, Excel is my friend. Here on the left side of the screen, this was kind of our schedule for last year. We had 3 teams, and so breaking everything up and making sure we had time to cover everything, you know, and allotting time for everything. So we just kind of scheduled it that way. And then making sure that we have 2 tables set up and 2 tables with 3 teams. You have to make sure that everybody has time. And then this year it's with 4 teams. This is how we're kind of doing it. It'll shift and change as the year goes on and as different teams need different things, but it's a really good starting spot. And it really helps us as coaches coordinate where we should be and with what team and doing what. So that helps us a lot. The first few weeks, these are kind of some of the ideas. We focus a lot on teamwork, try to get the kids to know each other. A lot of kids come into robotics thinking Legos, building, and we really want them to also think core values. And we use incentives to help them memorize the core values. This year, we have Danielle, my co-coach who's on here, had a great idea of having them nominate people within the teams that they see using core values, and then there'll be rewards for those kids, and just kind of a way to highlight that. We also use homework, especially the first few weeks, to spark ideas with the kids. And also it helps to pull in the parents and really give them a better idea of what FLL is all about. We keep it really simple so that whether or not you're a brand new 4th grader or a very old 8th grader, you can do it. And we include all 3 components, core values, robot, and project. And then, of course, we start building robots. They research and they plan and they talk about as a team what they want their robot to look like. And I go over with them what makes a good robot. We also cover material management and where their stuff is stored, and how to set up the board, and how to keep their materials neat and tidy so they can find things, that sort of thing. And then, of course, mission planning, building the models, and getting their ideas flowing for how to solve them. Each team gets a binder, and it includes the game guide, the core values, and the judging rubrics, and also kind of acts as their engineering notebook. This year, I think I have a copy here. The first sent out engineering notebook for each kid on every team, and it includes these things, which is fabulous. So every kid has their own copy to take home and study or leave with their team. Anyway, so I think that's really fabulous. So a couple of resources that we have found very handy comes from this website here, FLL Tutorials. They also run a couple of Facebook pages, and then ev3lessons.com, I think. But this one is super helpful for coaches and has worksheets for everything. You can see down here, they have robot game, core values, projects, and then I wanted to highlight right here under City Shaper resources, they have worksheets. And if you go there, you will see lots and lots of worksheets. They also just came out recently with a beginner's guide under this worksheet tab, and it has 13 weeks of an outline plan of how to run your team for 13 weeks. And I haven't used it, but I looked over it, and it looks, I wish I had had it when I started. Here are a couple of examples of what they have under their worksheets that I will use to get us going and the teams talking and planning. And these also are super handy to stick in their engineering notebook to show what they've been working on. So robot design, learning missions, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, and learning the core values, and then project selection. And this is just a very small sample of what they have. So moving on to robot game strategy, I just put a few things that came to my mind. First, they choose the missions that interest them most. What they think, depending on if they're a seasoned team or a brand new team, what they think they can accomplish. They can, some are only ready to just push something, and some teams are ready to do more, but whatever interests them, we encourage them to look into doing that first. To start with just a very few missions, and they can always add more as the season goes. Focus on accuracy more than quantity. That has become very apparent over the last 2 years. Oops, sorry. Over the last few years, aim at, I think Elaine Todd said, aim 9 out of 10. And so if it's not working in practice, chances are it probably won't work at competition. And then plan for a margin of error. So kind of going back to that accuracy. So think of those things, and I tell the kids that frequently throughout the season. So how to learn the missions. So this is the Learn the Missions worksheet off of that site, FLL Tutorials, that I mentioned. And you can cut these apart here. And the kids, I have a picture of them laid out on this year's board here. And the kids can kind of see what the missions are called, so they can talk about it amongst each other accurately. They can see what exactly they have to do to earn points for that mission, and they can see the point value. And you can cut those strips apart and lay them out on the board, and then they can gather them up and arrange them on sheets in this third picture here. And then I put down here at the bottom of that sheet, then they can put who's in charge of completing that mission. And then here at the bottom, I have big sheets of paper on the wall, and they can tape their runs to those big sheets and make comments and things like that as the season goes on things that they're changing. So like I said, I got those worksheets from FLL Tutorials. In the past, before I knew that they did that, I've used just the game guide and cut apart the mission instructions. And that's helped the kids to see and arrange and show what their plan is, and to stick with their plan, or to know when their plan needs to change. The FLL Tutorials also has a sketch planner, which some of our teams have used in the past. There's a picture here at the left. It's also an app, so if you have tablets, kids can use them to mark their routes in different colors and what they think they might like to do. Over here is what the philosophers used last year during Into Orbit. And then below, they kind of showed in color coordination what they did when and how many points it was and things like that to help them plan. One thing that really helped us last year was you make a plan, and then after their first qualifier, I made up a little spreadsheet and then went over how their runs went, how their matches went at competition, and made notes on what they might like to add, what they might like to change, remove, how they would change the mission, and that sort of thing. And that helped them to then adapt the plan for the next competition. So, and these are also great additions to the engineering notebook. So I was just going to say a little bit about the engineering notebook. I am by far not an expert. But like I said, the booklet that first sent out has a lot of great questions and suggestions of things to do that can, that are in itself an engineering notebook. We use 3-ring binders, and it's not required. Some of the things that have come across that have really helped our teams of what to include: the date that they met, who was present, the agenda for the day, and then at the end, kind of what they accomplished and their plan for the next week. And then don't forget, of course, pictures, drawings, graphs, tables, anything like that help to explain what they've done. And then towards the end of last year and then this year, our older team is using OneNote, which is a Microsoft Office product, and also an app that you can get on tablets. And it has made, and there's a picture of it down here at the bottom of one of their notebook pages, and then you can kind of see all the different tabs that they have to work from. But it really makes it really easy for them to take pictures that go right into the document as they work, or they can take a picture of the whiteboard or of a notebook page, and it kind of cleans it up. for their notebook. It allows the team to collaborate during the week when they're not meeting. A lot of our kids don't have email addresses yet. They're not on Facebook, but this is a really easy program for them to go to share. And then we can print these pages out for their engineering notebook. So that's all I have. There again, my information. If you have any questions after the meeting, I'm happy to answer emails and such like that.
And so this is when we would love questions. So I know, and Wendy, you took a peek at that engineering notebook too, and we're talking about how great it was. I'm wondering between Annie, Christy, and Gerald, if you guys have started practices, if you've used any of these other resources in the past. Annie, have you guys started practicing yet?
We have not started practicing yet. We have not received our kit yet, and we are still on, this is only our like 5th day of school.
Oh, that's right.
And we're in half days this week because of another training we're required to do. So next week we're going to start meeting. They have viewed the kickoff, and we have talked about it. We've dug out our NXT robot and they've looked at it, and we've talked about how we're going to use that. So, I mean, we've started, but it is a classroom project. So we're working on it.
And how many kids will you have total?
I have 6 kids, but 2 of them, I'm not sure they're going to be old enough to qualify to do any competitions. They're definitely going to participate though.
Well, and you know,
I go all the way to 3rd grade.
That lower age limit is a soft limit. So if you have 3rd graders on your team, it's fine from the first view of things for you to bring them along to.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's even better.
And
Thank you.
And I haven't started yet because I just found out the other day that we have 2 people who are interested in
I
coaching
don't know.
Central. So, so I'm going to Plan B.
And are the central, is it Sandra and?
Sandra and Shumway. I forget what his first name is.
Yep.
Yes, he coached before. Yes. Yes.
That's great.
Yes. So we could have 3 teams here at Central.
And then Christy, how are things in Cordova? So yeah, oh, there you are.
It's going okay. I'm had my junior high 7th and 8th grade kickoff last night, and that was kind of exciting to see them see the game and start building missions. The engineering notebook, all these cool tools that were given this year that came with our kit. I'm with everybody else. I wish we had them last year. This is only my 2nd year coaching, so it's kind of like amazing, but I guess you learn the hard way, and all these things are cool. And then tonight, in a few minutes, I need to go leave to kick off my 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. But here in Cordova, you know, we've been slowly building up, and it's kind of cool this year that it'll be our 2nd year of kids coming from the junior program, and they're so excited to touch Legos and robots and things like that, but then pace them too with the idea of the project and now this engineering notebook idea. So we're pretty excited in Cordova.
And have you seen the new mat?
Yes, our kits arrived. We started building them last night. Like I said, the elementary kids essentially will start building their kit tonight.
Great. And does anyone have questions?
This is Christy, I'll go.
Yeah.
We're always looking for ideas on how to improve the core values portion. And it sounds like, Kara, you might have some cool ideas on, I guess, just like the teamwork part, the cooperation part. As far as like at the end, I try to save like the last 15 minutes after we've cleaned up to go play a game or something like that. And I've just checked out your FLL tutorials, which was good. But are there anything that kind of resonates with the kid that kind of gets them jazzed and thinking of that cooperation type stuff?
Well, I mean, we do games or, you know, like little challenges. We actually have a parent slash coach mentor that does the core value side of it, and she is fantastic and excited to work with the kids. So co-opetition, well, with 4 teams meeting all at the same time, we encourage them, like the older teams, to mentor the younger teams, to share materials. What else? Last year, we were able to connect with another school that was interested, and all the kids went and shared about FLL. So that was helpful in them thinking, you know, beyond just themselves and their own competition. There's lots of, if you just search core values activities, that might be a good place to start too. I hope that answered your question.
Yes,
So-
that was great. Thank you.
So Kara, at the beginning you talked about having some workshops. Can you explain a little bit more about what you did in those workshops and where you got the information from?
Yeah, so we did that last year at the beginning because we were brand new coaches and really feeling like we needed to get to know the kids and also introduce them to all the parts before they just joined teams and started. So we had 3 adults. So I took robot and taught them robot basics and a little bit of programming and that sort of thing. And then my co-coach Danielle took them for the project and talked to them about project last year, which was Into Orbit. And then another of our parents, Julie, took them for core values, and then they just rotated around to us,
Okay.
to each section. So
Cool.
where did I get my ideas? That FLL or EV3 lessons, both of those are great, great resources.
Fabulous. Thank you.
And Christy, I was going to chime in too. Kara kind of said it, but I've seen what she was talking about with the older kids teaching the younger kids, having the groups have to teach those core values. So like Cordova's set up perfectly because you have the FLL junior program too. When you could have your junior high kids run a core values activity and debrief it for the elementary level FLL, and then the elementary FLL try to have them lead a game for the little kids and then come back and talk about how the little kids did and what else they could do. And I feel like once they do that a couple times, it's the Girl Scout model too, of having the girls lead activities as they get older, then they're able to talk about what, make those things that they're doing for teamwork a little bit more explicit. And it's easier to reflect on what the younger students are doing than to have them reflect on their own behavior. But then they tend to sit back, and when the same situation arises with them a couple weeks later, they can be like, oh yeah, that was just like those when the FLL junior team was doing that, or don't you remember we taught that to them? And they kind of have to prep it, and then having them look at the poster. Have you seen the core values poster?
I did just download the tutorial for the core values poster, and last year was the first time we'd ever done posters. My husband wasn't ready to touch that area. So again, we're just, kind of cracking each step open, each level. But I love the idea of the older kids for the younger kids, all for their outreach leading into the co-opetition stuff. So, I love that.
If this is Wendy, sorry, I would like to jump in right here too, because this is something that we do a lot in Moose Pass as well. We have, last year especially, I had 2 FLL teams and 1 junior team that met at the same time. And so it was, we did a ton of that. We had 20 kids in a room and all 3 teams. And when the kids start to get that idea, it works really well. And the whole, like Becca was talking about, having the older kids lead a core values activity that they have done for the younger kids. And yes, that's, anyway, just adding on to that. And then one other thing that I wanted to add to Kara's resources is that FLL Tutorials, if you're a Facebook person, they also have a Facebook group called FLL Share and Learn. And there's some amazing stuff going on in there. And I am a part of it. I don't post much, but there you can learn a lot. So if you do Facebook at all, find that Facebook group. And that's all.
Any other questions out there? I'll use this a couple minutes as a pitch then. Just other, I haven't seen many names on the raffle ticket request form, but as folks are getting ready for activities that might involve fundraising, those can sometimes turn into a mix of core values activities too, where they're going out and doing something as a team and raising awareness about the program, about their team, and doing a little bit of fundraising. Annie, I'm even thinking about your team. If they were to do that or a bake sale, it's kind of a good chance maybe you guys could raise enough to get an EV3 in there and jump up from the NXT. And I'll keep looking for ways to get an EV3 out to you also. But just if you're thinking of doing that, has everybody seen the raffle ticket request? Does anyone have questions about how that works or questions?
When is the time frame for requesting it? Because I need to wait till the ASB, our little board, our local advisory board meets to see where we're at on 4th grade trip fundraising, because I have a very small pool to fundraise from, and we have to raise almost $1,000 a student for 4th grade trip. I think we're getting close, but I'm not sure.
So you can request them anytime. We won't do the drawing until March 9th. And then you can turn them in. We have 2 turn-in dates. So if you turn in at the end of November, we'll get you money in December. And that's kind of thinking about teams that need to fundraise for travel. And then if you turn them in later in the season, I think our last date is like February 15th or somewhere in there. That money will come later in the spring. And that's really looking forward to next season and kind of funding your club. So either one of those options, but you can order tickets anywhere. I mean, we order a ton extra so that as many coaches that need to get them can. And then the other thing is you can always order them. If you don't sell them, there's no penalty. You don't have to pay for them. You just have to make sure that you monitor them and send us back the unsold tickets along with the stubs of any that you sold. So there's sort of no reason to wait since you don't have to pay for them. But if you want to, it doesn't matter. They're kind of order on demand. Any other questions or resources that folks are using and finding helpful? Oh, and yeah, Annie, that is on our website on the grants page. Anything else?
Well, I don't have a question. I just have a comment. Thank you, Kara. That was, I got 2 or 3 pages of notes from you. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, and I'll say the same thing, Kara. Thank you so much. It's so great to have coaches that have been doing it, even if it's just 1 year. It was a long year, and I know you've been involved for longer than 1 year. So hopefully everybody got some. I know some folks have been watching the recordings too that can't join us on Tuesdays. So I will, and if there's no other questions, we'll end early. Everybody can go out and enjoy their Tuesday. Christy, you can go enjoy practice. This recording will go up on the training page on the JEDC website, and then we will meet again next week when we talk about some kind of bigger picture. Ryan Prinka, who was an FTC coach at Eagle River, who is one of the most organized human beings I've ever met, is going to talk about kind of planning out his season. So business planning, outreach planning, and fundraising, what he did for those things. And they will apply to all FIRST programs. So whatever level you're coaching at, it should be a great one to get involved with. And then for folks that are here, if you have other things that you wish were being addressed in these weekly webinars, feel free, you can chime in and let me know now. You can send me an email. You can send me a little chat, however you want to let me know, but let us know what would be useful, and we'll try to either bring someone on with that content or address it in another way. But yeah, we just want to keep these going and keep everybody talking to each other and make sure that our coaches feel like there's a network of support out there and you're not on your own. So that's it. A final thank you to Kara. One last call for questions or comments. All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
Thank you.